Hello everyone and welcome back to Qualls Gaming. Today we're going to take a look at Unworthy. This hardcore Metroidvania draws heavy inspiration from games like Dark Souls or Bloodborne and promises a similar experience to those in a classic 2D pixel art style. Whether it can deliver on this promise is the question we will try to answer today. Unworthy is available on Steam for €13.49, their regional equivalent. I'm not really the biggest fan of the Dark Souls-like subgenre, to be honest, but I did enjoy the search quite a lot. But getting the chance to get a similar experience in a 2D environment does certainly sound enticing. But is it any good? So let us begin with a look at the main mechanics of Unworthy. It's combat. And I gotta say, in its essence, it is deceptively simple. You get a single button to attack, a single button to dodge, and from there, it's pretty much up to you. Obviously, if this was all there is to the game, there would be a good chance that the game would get pretty boring quite rapidly. So, how exactly does Unworthy get around this? Well, the same way so many Dark Souls-y games do. They give you a decent selection of different types of weapons that each come with their own playstyle. To give you a few examples, you start a game with the most used weapon in gaming overall, I think. A sword and a shield. This combination has the benefit of pretty quick attacks, and the shield gives you an immunity to one attack if it is charged. Or there is the hammer, which has the ability to break objects and deliver powerful blows to your enemies. But on the other hand, it attacks pretty slowly, and once you push the attack, you better be sure you want to make the attack, as you can't cancel it, even by dodging. Plus, you get a little combo mechanic going where attacking a few times in a row will make the third attack deal a bit more damage. But what would combat be without enemies to punish? Well, boring, I guess. Thus, Unworthy provides you with a plethora of enemies to defeat. But be careful, they can be quite punishing. And I gotta say, the variety of enemies is quite impressive. And they range from simple sword fighters, giants with even more gigantic weapons that will try to crush you, fast-moving archers, and even spellcasters. But they all share one common thing. All their attacks are avoidable with your dodge. And that is the key to defeating them. Apart from your, well, regular enemies, you've got the bosses. Bosses that you are very unlikely to defeat on your first try. They are hard and have complex phases with various kinds of different attacks. Usually, they start out pretty slow, giving you a false sense of security. But just give them a moment to transition into their next phase and get ready to get wrecked. Seriously, the amount of time I spent solely on the bosses is probably higher than what I spent in the rest of the game in total. So, altogether, the combat feels just great. Hard, but fair, and I consider that being an ideal state for combat in a combat-focused game. Apart from the combat, there are a few other mechanics I feel I should mention, starting with the synths. The synths are the equivalent of souls from Dark Souls, and they get used for pretty much everything, starting with upgrades to your character to buying items from the few vendors you can find in the game. The items are probably the weakest point of the game, as they provide only minor boosts to your character, like an increase in your armor rating or higher stamina regeneration. The upgrade system is also sadly one of the weaker points of Unworthy, as similarly to the items, it doesn't really provide much change towards the development of your character. It provides like higher healing from your flask, slightly more damage and these sort of things. But I really can't complain much about this because this isn't meant to be your traditional RPG. This is a Metroidvania and those aren't really supposed to have complex upgrade systems. One last thing I would like to talk about, hoping the developer will see the video, is I think this game is perfect for mobile. Seriously, while it is a hard game for sure, it also has pretty simple mechanics and most importantly, simple controls. And because it has simple controls, I feel like a port to mobile could feasibly be done without much of a hassle. Maybe the difficulty would need to be lowered by a bit, but on a modern phone, where the game would have no problem running smoothly, it would definitely be a blast to play. Now that we are done with the gameplay section of the review, it is time to take a quick look at the graphics. Unworthy takes a pretty simple approach to those, as it is a purely black and white pixel 2D game, but highly stylized. And it just works. Everything feels dark and gloomy, almost gothic-y, and any fan of Dark Souls will love it immediately. When it comes to the music, it is there. That's probably all I can realistically say about it. It's there in the background, sounding okayish, but it doesn't really give me the chills. And this game would really deserve some music that would give you the chills. But it isn't bad either, so it's not something I will hugely complain about. Lastly, it is time to take a look at how good the performance is. Sadly, not great at the moment. There are sometimes frame rate issues, but I have a pretty big problem determining what exactly is causing them. And the author of the game seems to be aware of them, as when the game starts, it tells you that if you're experiencing frame drops, that there is a potential solution in a text file in the game's folder. I can at least report that a solution has worked for me. But if there is a workable solution, I don't understand why it isn't the standard. So, in conclusion, Unworthy is a really good combat-focused 2D Dark Souls clone. The combat feels truly fair, yet it is truly hard. And this is exactly what fans of the Dark Souls subgenre love. Thus, if you are a big fan of the subgenre, you shouldn't wait and get Unworthy straight away. And if you're just a fan of hard games, you shouldn't wait either. The only people who I'd say shouldn't get this are people who don't like hard games, as those will hate themselves for sucking so much. So that is it for today, guys. I hope you liked the review, and if you did, please consider giving us a thumbs up here on YouTube and subscribing to the channel. And comment if you have something you would like to add. See you guys later with more gaming content.